Welcome back to this episode of Back at the Ranch. Today we're going to be making some fertilizer. Of course, the best fertilizer is that comes from nature. So what I'm going to be using today is the Alaska fish fertilizer, a big old hunk of cow manure, a cup of very hot water, and your wife's French press. Now the first step is we'll work with the cow manure. All you have to do is break off a big old chunk of it and just break it up. Remember, you're making teas, so it doesn't have to be perfectly ground, but you know how it is. You just crunch it up, and if you want, you can grab another appliance that isn't hardly used probably at all, and that is the blender. Just be careful not to drink it when you're done. And then what I'll do is just put this aside. Have it crushed up. We'll go ahead and add it to the French press here. And what I like about the French press in seeing how it was made is that it has these little wire meshes or this screening on it. So when this goes on top, essentially after you've added the water, which is really hot, and a really good portion of the fish fertilizer, then we simply top it off with some really hot water. And when that's finished, it's just a matter of putting it together like that and taking it outside. Oops. Don't spill though. And just go ahead and find a cool place to put it out in the sun. And it's just a simple matter of letting it sit there. Let that good old sun bake it a little bit and warm it up. Did you know that magnesium deficiencies lead to stress and anxiety? A recent Gallup poll determined that 80% of us are deficient in magnesium. Just as we are deficient in magnesium, so are tomato plants. For this batch, what I'm going to be adding is about a tablespoon of the calcium magnesium. So that way it'll get into the water and be ready for a proper feeding. As you can see, watering the plant in this fashion really leads to some really excellent solid growth. Once you take a look, there's no yellowness on the leaves whatsoever. And it's also very high in its potash. You can tell by the stiffness of the stems and the stalks. So that's going to be helpful for when the fruit is developed. And look at that, we have some yellow flowers over here getting ready to produce some tomatoes. Another big thing that is important for the growing of tomatoes is acidic soil. So what I've added here is some good old-fashioned coffee grounds. And next time you're over at your local coffee shop, ask them to save your grounds for you. And without a doubt, it's going to really make for an effective garden, especially for those plants that are more acidic, your broccolis. Keep in mind also that when looking for coffee grounds, if you happen to use your own, make sure you use coffee grounds that are, without a doubt, have no flavors at all in there, as it has elements your plant probably doesn't want in it. Well, after it's been sitting there for about a week, it's time to water the tomato plants. Look at that. If that isn't the creamiest looking stuff, that looks like a really good milkshake, or better yet, a coffee mocha. I don't think I want to try it though. Since this is a concentrated version of the fertilizer, it's best to use a sprayer when applying this product. As for the settings, I would suggest maybe 4 tablespoons per gallon of water that'll come out, and that'll produce a really good fertilizer for your plants. It's good to keep in mind that you want to walk up directly to each one of the plants and water them instead of just letting it spray. That way you'll be able to save on some fertilizer that you can see is making things quite green. It kind of looks like coffee too. Boy, wouldn't that be a terrible April Fool's Day trick.
When I walk beside her,